What's Jesus really saying when he says, go and do likewise? Is he saying you need to go and love perfectly? The fact is that this Samaritan, it's a parable, but this Samaritan loved this guy very well, right? But did he love this guy perfectly? Did he love the person that was by the side of the road perfectly? No. Maybe perfect love would have been to stay with him instead of going away and paying for all his expenses. Depends on the standard you're using, right? And no matter how hard we try to love other people and to justify ourselves and to say, I'm doing pretty good here and I'm doing pretty good here, there's always someone else that can challenge the standard, isn't there? This man who came to Jesus wanted the standard to be lowered for his sake in order to make him feel better. And isn't that what we want too? God, just lower your standards just a little bit so that I can feel okay about myself. Right? Because every day we walk around like that teacher of the law, knowing that we don't meet God's perfect standard. We don't love Him with all our heart and with all our soul and with all our mind. And we don't love our neighbors as ourselves. Because the standard is way, way, way too high for us to reach. And even if we think we're doing pretty good, perfection is always out of our reach. And Jesus comes down on this man and he says, you who want to justify yourself, you who want to feel good about yourself because of what you do, here's how you do it. Go and do likewise, he says. If you want to feel good about yourself before me, Jesus says, then you go and do it. If we want to justify ourselves before God and go through every day saying, God, I think I'm doing pretty good, aren't I? I held the door for that person. I smiled when I really felt like frowning. I helped this person at the store when she dropped all her stuff on the ground. I'm doing pretty good, Lord, aren't I? And we want to justify ourselves and say, God, you can't let me feel guilty because I'm trying my hardest. If we want to justify ourselves before God, we can sure try it. That's what this guy was doing. But in order to be justified before God in ourselves, that standard is going to have to be lowered, isn't it? Some way or another, that standard is going to have to fall in order for us to feel good about ourselves and our love for other people, if we're going to want to justify ourselves. And this teacher of the law learned the hard way that if you want to feel good about yourself before God and by what you're doing, by how well you're loving, good luck with that. Because the standard is always going to be out of your reach. So where's the hope? Where's the hope? If the standard is so high that the only way that we can get around it is by changing it ourselves and saying, I don't think that the standard should be perfection. I think it should be as good as I'm doing. If that's all that we got, then there is no hope, is there? And Jesus, for this man and for us, tells the account of the Good Samaritan in order to make us fall to our knees. To look up at that perfect standard and say, Jesus, I can't. Jesus, your law is too great for me. Jesus, there's no way I can love you with all my heart and soul and all my mind and love my neighbor as myself. I'll kill myself trying. Jesus, even as much as I try, I only feel guilty because I realize how far I fall short. And the Good Samaritan, the account of the Good Samaritan is meant to make us fall to our knees and cry out, Lord, save me. And so we remember who is the one who is telling the account of the Good Samaritan. It's Jesus Christ. It's Jesus Christ, the one who in truth gave the standard, created the standard, and tells the standard to us. And it's Jesus Christ, the one who came to earth to live up to the standard for us. Every act of love that Jesus Christ ever did was perfect. Absolutely perfect. He always loved the Father with every part of his ounce of his heart, soul, and mind. And he always loved every other person on this earth as himself. Jesus Christ came to do what we could not do, to live up to the perfect standard that he requires. And he desires us deeply to be on our knees, crying out to him to say, I can't do it, so that he can come back to us and say, I did it. Jesus Christ gave to us his righteousness that we can be lifted up in him and not in ourselves. That we are justified in him and not in ourselves. Because left to ourselves, we are incapable of any love. But if he has justified us by his perfect life and his innocent death, then he also dwells in us to guide us to love him more every day and to love others more every day. As sinful human beings, we can't do it. But as righteous human beings through Jesus Christ, he works in us to do it. Dear friends, you can leave here today knowing God's true standard. It is perfection. Perfect love. And you can either go out today saying, I'm going to try to do it myself, or you can say, Jesus, I need your righteousness to guide me through the day. The teacher of the law wanted to do it himself. Jesus wants us to depend on him. And when you do depend on him, you will measure up to his standard, because it's his righteousness that's being ranked, not yours. And that's what gives us comfort and peace as we go through every day of our lives, knowing that we live up to God's standard because Jesus lived up to it for us. Amen.